from various churches gather together to sing Christmas songs. So I think you'll really enjoy it. So let's pray. Father, thank you for an opportunity to gather and to take advantage of these wonderful freedoms you've given us as Americans. And Lord, in the midst of so much turmoil in our nation, we thank you for what we have and we can take advantage of at this time. And Lord, it's hard for us to say thank you for the weather, but we do. And as you're in control of it, you're also in control of the destinies of our lives. And so we give our lives to you. We give this city, this council, and those that are coming into new positions, we pray your blessings upon them, that you'll give them wisdom in the various things that they will be doing. Those that will be leaving, that you will provide for them and put them in places of blessings for other people's lives and their own as well. We thank you for that in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. Mayor-elect Lynch, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Modesto?
Here.
Councilperson Clem?
Here.
Councilperson Williams?
Here.
Councilperson Feckney?
Here.
Councilperson Zilli?
Here.
Councilperson Frisco?
Here.
Councilperson Lynch?
Here.
Please, everyone, make sure you speak into the mic tonight so the folks at home can hear us well. We're trying to get this down pat here. Minutes from previous meeting.
Motion approved.
Second. And there's two, October 1st and October 22nd.
October 1st and 22nd, the special meeting too. I almost forgot. Thank you, sir. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Modesto?
Yes.
Councilperson Clem?
Yes.
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Feckney?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
Councilperson Frisco?
Yes.
Councilperson Lynch?
Yes.
Thank you. Communications, correspondence, and announcements from the mayor. I do not have any. Receptions and petitions and memorials. Council President, do you have anything for the memorial? Okay. I have none. Clerk Treasurer's report.
I can speak, I guess, later whenever Scott does his budget report.
Okay. Reports from standing committees.
Okay, I guess I'm up.
I guess you're the only one that spoke up.
All right. So the Budget Committee met again. We had a couple issues on the agenda that we needed to address. One of them was some expenditures that are still remaining in 2019, which include about $1 million in paving. We had to address the $130,000 that we have yet to pay in vehicle liability insurance. Then we had a Tyler Tech contract that amounted to, help me out there, Chris, was it 120?
118,000? 113,000.
113,000, and what else am I missing there? Was there one
Health
other?
insurance.
Pardon me? The health insurance, yes. How could I miss the health insurance? So the health insurance premium was approximately $800,000. So we addressed that, and we'll be, when Chris gives his report, we'll talk about how we're going to address those four issues. I want to recognize Mr. Cinder, who's here this evening, Carl Cinder from Cinder and Company, who's been a tremendous asset for us, and as we've looked at this 2019 and 2020 budget issues, his company has been extremely valuable in helping us resolve how we're going to handle those concerns. So thank you very much. Mr. Cinder, we've asked him to be here tonight. If there's any particular topics or questions that he can address, he's available this evening to talk about that. So we're confident that we have a plan. The main thing I want to say at this point is that the Budget Committee recommended that we do not borrow any money. So we don't want to incur any new debt at this point in time. It's not saying that not going to happen in the future, but we felt that we would be jumping the gun, so to speak, and putting the new council in a precarious, if you will, situation that would be unfair to them. So we felt that we needed to have them weigh in on that particular concern. So the Budget Committee recommended not borrowing any money at this point in time, and work through the budget constraints that we have with the revenue sources that we have in place. So I think that was a wise move. I think it was a prudent move, and I think it made a lot of sense. With that said, that concludes my report.
Any other statements?
Anything that Liz, I know Liz was at our last meeting, Pat had a conflict. Pat has been at most of the meetings. Chris Stidham and Colin Hollins have been, as you know, a vital part of this budget process, and I'm truly indebted to their commitment and time that you folks have spent. So is there anything you want to add, Liz?
Just a thank you to Chris for his diligence, Carl Sender, and Colin. Is Colin here?
He's right there.
Oh, I can't see you. It was a long, long process. I think we met maybe 10 times to iron out the budget, and
It felt like 10, it felt like 20 sometimes.
I think it was at least 10.
Yeah.
And I think there's a good budget going into next year, and I think that the new council should be able to handle whatever comes up next year as far as expenditures, and the new clerk treasurer and the new mayor. And I do want to say congratulations to all who won. I think you guys are going to do a fantastic job in the next 4 years, and I'm looking forward to coming to some council meetings and being an observer for a change.
You'll probably be more than an observer.
I don't know.
But anyway. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I do have something to say. I know it's been a lot of hours, and thank you, Chairman and Liz. You've both been put many, many hours in, along with the other folks that's been mentioned. I was unable to attend this last Friday's budget meeting because I was attending my father-in-law's funeral. I just want to make sure that was noted. It's not that I just don't miss things, but
No, not at all.
keep up the good work. We still have a lot more work to do. It's not a good thing. I'm just going to leave it at that right now.
There you go.
Yeah, the budget is an ongoing process. It's not something that you just address 1 or 2 times a year. It's something that you constantly have to look at, and I know my recommendation is going to be that the Budget Committee meet at least once a month on an ongoing basis, whether they have, really heavy-duty topics to discuss, but it needs to be, it's a very important standing committee that affects the city very in an important manner. So my recommendation is that we, meet on a regular basis every month. I think I'm done now,
Thank
Mayor.
you, sir.
Good job, Scott. Good job.
Reports
Thank
of
you.
city
All of you.
officials? Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think, Chris, do you have anything to add to it?
It depends on where you guys want me to. I could do it now or when we do the transfers later. It doesn't matter.
Why don't you jump in when we do the transfers? Okay,
Are you finished now?
I think I am.
Reports of city officials. John Harrison, Economic Development.
As far as paving goes, it's complete for the year. Striping, hopefully will be done on Central Avenue and Christmas this week, weather permitting. Once Christmas is done, they'll move the cones and that all lanes will be open then. We have a couple opportunities out Route 6. There's a National Tire Company that's looking at the property in front of Portage 9. It'll be the lot adjacent to the old main source branch there. National Auto Collision Center is looking at the property next to Aldi's. So, got a couple of good opportunities coming forth, hopefully. Interstate trucking application for development standard has been submitted. and it's under review, and that will be presented to the BZA meeting on November 25th. We met with Lowe's, the buyer for Lowe's, Al Krieger, on October the 11th to get an update on the progress. We were hoping to hear something by the end of October, but that didn't come forth, so that is still ongoing. And Superior Ambulance is moving forward with the development on Route 20. That's the old Don's Motel location. And that should come to fruition soon.
Good.
Any questions?
Questions for John?
Thanks, John.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Sosby? Well, that's appropriate.
I think that was
Excuse
planned.
you.
That was planned.
You figured it out. You figured us out, Liz. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to email you the run reports, but I do have copies here, so I didn't do the trees any favors, I guess, today.
Thank you.
Let that go around a little bit.
Thank you.
We did have a fairly busy month, a lot of different things occurring in October. We all know about Trunk or Treat. That was a big success. We put together about 12 or 1,300, I say we didn't really do it, our secretaries and our assistants did, but they put together about 12 to 1,300 trick-or-treat bags to give away. We went through those about 3/4 of the way through the program, and then fortunately there was some more candy, and we went through that too. So we tried to give as much away as we could, so we didn't need it. But so that was a great success. The USS Indianapolis, we all know that was there. Weather could have helped us out a little bit. Actually, could have helped us out a whole lot because it really was a nice day out. It all went pretty well for us. We only had a couple minor incidents of people falling and scraping and stuff like that. But I'm really proud that we felt very prepared. We kind of went over every scenario we probably could go over. We submitted an incident action plan to the Navy, and they seemed a bit surprised that they got something like that from us. We had about 80% of our department out there, and that's, I don't know if we've ever done that before, to be honest with you. So we thank them for all their support out there. It was a miserable day, and a lot of them were out there without any cover at all. So we do appreciate them being out there just in case something was to occur. So it did go over well, and I'm sure the police department will put their input there as well. You should have the reports there in front of you. We did a total of 381 emergency responses or 911 responses. That's a little bit over than 12 calls a day. That's a pretty typical October for us. November started out with a bang. It's been pretty busy, so we expect that to probably be a little bit more. The one last thing I got, unless you guys have some questions for me, I do have some sad news. We do have a K-9 on the department. Bosco has been credited with 6 or 7 convictions, I think. I can't remember exactly how many. Arson convictions in 3 or 4 different counties. Bosco was recently became very ill and was diagnosed with terminal cancer. So the prognosis is a couple of months. We've put it out there. We've been in contact with people. There are organizations called K-9 Heroes. They're wanting to do some special events for Bosco. Some fundraising events and maybe some things to benefit the Humane Society and things like that. So those are still very much in the works. When we do get some details on that, we will let everybody know. But just like a police department K-9, Bosco was a sworn member of the department, did have a badge number, and you know, he'll be missed. He's still a relatively young dog. So, other than that, does anybody have any questions?
That's a good job.
Okay.
Good job.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. Steve Nelson. Streets and Sanitation. And Randy's here as well.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I don't know about the weather. It's kicking our butt right now. Credit to our crews and our mechanics for having our snow equipment ready to go. We were out early yesterday morning with about half of our fleet, because half of our fleet are the trucks we use to pull our leaf back. We're supposed to be picking up leaves right now. But they did a pretty good job with what we had to work with. They worked some long hours. They came out early yesterday morning, worked all through the night and through today. I know we still got some areas and some cul-de-sacs and subdivisions we need to get to, and we'll get at them tomorrow. My report was for last Tuesday because I got mixed up on the date, but the month of October we fielded about 820 calls, processed them. We sent out about 55 new toters, many of those to new residents. We still got every day new residents calling for toters, so that means we have more people in the city, which is a good thing. We do, and I got to talk about this, we do a lot of mailings about our leaves, and we still have many, many residents, hundreds of them as a matter of fact, that insist on putting their leaves in the roadways. The ordinance says you're not to put them in the roadways, and if you drive around the subdivisions today, you can see one example of why we don't want them in the roadways. It makes it very difficult for our plow crews to get around. We're out there, we can't curb to curb, and the worst part of it is now that this snow is on the leaves, these leaves that are in the street will not drain through. They will literally turn into sludge, because they just sit there and soak up their own moisture. There's a reason we want them off of the road in the grass so they'll drain through and our equipment can pick them up. Last year we went through 5 transmissions and clutches in our equipment trying to pick up this snow, these leaves that had the snow on top of it before. Well, when you blow a clutch and a leaf back, it's down for 4 days, okay? Right now we're behind the 8 ball. We don't need leaves in the street destroying our equipment. So I implore every citizen, anybody that's watching this, please do not put your leaves in the road. It tears up our equipment, makes it much more difficult to pick it up because it turns to sludge. The moisture just soaks into them. If it's sitting in the grass, the water drains through and we can pick them up. So spread the word to your neighbors, your friends. Don't put the leaves in the street. It's against the ordinance, and somehow we have to start enforcing this because it tears up our equipment and it takes 3 times as long to pick the stuff up. We will be out there. We were running, bulk week was last week. We ran 4 vacs all week during bulk week. We're still able to man 4 vacs. On Friday when bulk week ended, we put 5 vacs out. We have a 6th one now ready to go. I can't tell you when we're going to be back out picking them up. It won't be until the snow's off. We're not going to tear equipment up and then not be able to get them picked up. So we'll be watching them. We're talking about, we may have to go get these ones off the road with grapple trucks, which is labor intensive and takes a lot longer to do. But we know they're going to tear up our equipment if we try to pick them up off the roadway once this snow melts off of them. So help us out, help our guys out. Talk to anybody you see, tell them keep their leaves off the road in the grass so they drain through. We can get them picked up a lot faster and get the city cleaned up. We're lucky, just 80 miles away from here in Bangor, Michigan, they got 24 inches of snow last night, okay? If there was 24 inches of snow and our plows went through those roads with the leaf piles on them, guess where the leaves would be? So I'm on my soapbox tonight. Keep your leaves off the street like the ordinance says and keep them in the breezeway so they don't interfere with our plowing and our leaf pickup. Help our guys out, you know, help us all out because it costs more money when you put them in the street.
What can we do to get that message out to the community this year?
Well, we've done, I guess we can make an all call, I suspect.
We've done letters.
All call, Facebook.
On our website, we talk about it all the time, and we still insist on putting leaves and limbs. We put leaves and limbs in the road. They don't go in the road.
Because it sounds like the potential cost of repairing equipment is much greater.
$3,000.
Yeah, yeah, than what an all.
$15,000 in clutches last year because of leaves in the road, tearing up our equipment.
We hear you.
So, we can all help.
We'll do
Spread
one
the
Friday.
message.
Okay.
And I really ask that our citizens think about our guys and our equipment that have to pick this stuff up. If it's in the grass, it's so much easier for us to get picked up. And when we come through to plow, we can curb out your subdivision. So,
Can we post that ordinance on all of our Facebook pages that we have? We have the
Okay.
street department, police department, fire department, city municipality. We got about 4 pages out there. I think it's important we all put them on there.
I know.
I
We'll
drove
just
through
reinforce.
Every
I
other
drove
day.
through your horseshoe today, there's 15 piles of leaves on the street. You
Every
see
other day,
it, we
put it
all
on
see
Facebook page,
it.
so
We
we
drive
know.
around, we see it, and we gotta enforce that somehow, and I'm off my
Can I ask
soapbox.
this, Steve?
What's that?
Why are we going around with the plow when they're not even frozen yet? Why can't we slow down and push them off to the side, let them roll out of the plow into the parkway?
Well, I'll talk about an incident last year. We had a new snowplow driver out, and he decided to go through it curb to curb, like plow guys are told to do. Our phones blew up because all the leaves blew back in front of people's driveways. They literally had to go out there with shovels and dig out the ends of their driveways to get out their driveways. We went out and cleaned up the mess, but had they not been in the road in the first place,
That's
it
my
never
point.
would have happened. So it's a big deal. That's why I'm kind of beating on my chest here a little bit tonight. It kills us when you put those leaves and limbs in the street. It makes things so much more difficult. And we can't do
I
a good
understand
job.
that.
We can't do a good job.
Scott's got a point.
Can we do a reminder in the utility bills about this? Do you think that would be helpful? You know, I think any source we put into place to remind the community would be helpful. And maybe just a subtle, you know, not subtle, but an important reminder in the utility bills.
We got a battle right now. You know, it's a battle.
Yeah.
We're gonna battle these things like we
I
did
thought of
again
you
last
immediately
year.
when the snow and ice fell.
We're hoping for a week of 50-degree weather to try these things
Well,
out,
it
and we'll
is
get back
supposed to
at
warm
it.
up next week a
With
little
snow
bit.
on them right now, we won't be picking them up for a
No, I
while.
understand.
They gotta just,
And the residents should
and we probably
understand that
had
as well.
we had 15 calls today, when are you gonna get my leaves?
Yeah,
People,
I know.
they don't understand, but our equipment will not take picking these leaves up with snow in them. It just tears them up, and we can't tear our equipment up, or we'll never get them up.
Anything else, Steve?
I'm done. I've had the soapbox enough. Anybody else? Have a good night.
We
Thank you,
understand
Steve.
Same, sir.
your frustration. Assistant Chief Uzelak, not Mike. Chief Williams is at a merit board meeting tonight and trying to get some police officers on board. So, Mr. Uzelak will fill in.
Okay, there was a question earlier on how to get the word out there. Code enforcement will get the word out starting tomorrow regarding those leaves. Okay, the police department had 2,649 calls of service in October. Year to date right now, we're at 29,258 calls. The app's up. The Portage Police Department has an app for your telephone. Gives all kinds of information. If you go to your Apple store or to your, how does Google buy? Your what is it?
Play Store.
Yeah,
Your
please.
Google Play Store, you can get it there. It's free of charge and it keeps you up to date on everything that's going on within our department. It has a lot of cool features to it. 2 officers graduate from the academy this Friday on the 15th. They've worked hard, they've done well, and they will be starting field training on Monday. So we'll have some brand new policemen on the street, 2 of them. As the mayor mentioned, the chief's unavailable tonight because he's at the merit board meeting. They are interviewing potential officers right now to establish an eligibility list, and we've got some good candidates, so there's some competition over there. We were awarded $14,000 in a training grant, and we will be partnering with the MAC Training Center in Valparaiso.
It's an active attack integrated response course. And what that is it shows how, it trains our people to work cooperatively with other agencies and other departments. So medics will attend, firefighters will attend, cops will attend. So we can work together seamlessly. So it's training to do that. On the 14th from 9 to 11 a.m., the Portage Police Department's hosting the Northwest Indiana Military Network Support Meeting. It'll be at our police station in our main training room. I mentioned earlier how many calls to service we had in a month, and some of those seem like numbers. There are a few things that, well, today there was a large pursuit that was coming from the county area that ended up coming into Portage. That was diverted away from downtown through the officers that were doing that pursuit, and it was stopped when it hit our border. That was our guys. That's our guys and gals. Those are the kinds of things that they do every day, things that, so you don't have to read about horrific things in the paper. You can read about people going to jail, and Captain Candiano and I happened to be there, and when you talk about bringing your heart rate up, let me tell you, it comes up and down pretty quick. With that being said, I'd like to commend two officers. That's Detective Biggs and Detective Vaughn from our Detective Bureau. I'm sure you read recently there was a murder conviction in our county. A young girl was killed. It was horrible. Those two detectives from our department went to the prosecutor's office, and together with Chesterton PD and the Porter County prosecutors worked to bring that to an end. We are grateful of the way they represented our police department because they did a doggone fine job, and I'm proud of them. Another thank you real quick is Precoat Metals. It's out by U.S. Steel. Every year they don't forget about our public safety folks, and they provide a Thanksgiving dinner for all our cops, all 3 shifts. And I wanted to thank them personally while I was standing up here. And I'd like to remind you that on December 7th, the City Christmas Festival's here. In closing, the last thing I want to talk about is the USS Indianapolis. Many of you were there. You saw how many people were there. There were over 11,000 people. The fire department, the police department, people from the port, state police, we all worked very well together, and we did the region proud. There was not one car crash that day, not one fender bender, not one police call due to that incident. And that's because of the hard work of the men and women of the Portage Fire Department, Portage Police Department, State Police, and the County Sheriff's Department. So big thank you from me to them because they made us look well. Thanks, folks. Any questions? Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Hey, he's downplaying a little bit. I just wanted to talk about having a chance to come up and talk about the good things that our people do. Sorry. I was saying, we get the chance to come up and talk about the good things we do in meetings like this. I know there were a lot of people that were involved in the Indianapolis thing, but this guy was nonstop at meetings, after hours. I mean, if I heard about the Indianapolis anymore, I was going to hurt myself because he was always talking about it. But the amount of time that he put in, so I want to recognize him because, a lot of us kind of showed up that day from the police department, and it was organized, and the amount of people that came in and out of that place pretty seamlessly, other than, a little bit slow getting through the metal detectors and stuff, was amazing. So, like I said, he's trying to downplay the work he did, but he needs to be recognized too. So, thank you, sir.
If I could add to that, Assistant Police Chief Uzelak also worked with the Department of Navy to get reimbursement for our police presence, and maybe he can give us a little bit of an update on that since Mr. Williams is concerned about the budget.
There's a lot of overtime hours put into this deal, and one of the things that the Navy requested from us was that we provide security for that ship with Navy personnel and our police officers from the time that ship came into port to the time it left. I have a little bit of experience with the military, so I know that when the military makes an official request, they have something called a husbanding agent that is a contractor that ensures that these services are provided for. They contract with the Navy itself, and then they pay the bills. Okay, so if there's water there, the Navy wanted water, well, these folks buy bottled water, and they charge the Navy, Navy pays them, and they pay for the water. We're gonna get about 15,000, I don't have the number off the top of my head, just over 15,000 is gonna be reimbursed to the city of Portage, and it will more than take care of the overtime that we spent to take care of that. So thanks to the Navy and the husbanding agents for working through that negotiation with us and reimbursing us for that.
Very good.
Thank you, Tate.
Thank you.
And I think the fire department submitted a reimbursement too, and I think you guys got paid, right?
Yeah, well, our
Partially.
guys were out there, they actually searched beforehand.
They did provide about 75% of the reimbursement for the EMS and fire service that we had out, or fire protection we had out there. We chose to put a little bit more just because of the potential of what could happen there. We kind of knew we were going to absorb that, but we thought the alternative was if we weren't ready, we were in trouble. The dive team was out there both the same day with the police department. The police department was out there they were out there a lot for that whole week. But for the day that we were out there of the event, we're reimbursed for that. And then before the ship came in, our dive team did a underwater search of the area for anything that looked like a bomb or some type of device. And they did that before the ship would come in. So I do have to give them credit for that because they got up mighty early in the morning. I did too, so did Dan. But I mean, they literally were up there, and actually I should say Chris was there too. So they actually got up, I think, 4:30 in the morning or 5 in the morning, and they were literally in the water before the sun came up, checking the area to make sure it was safe. So yes, we'll get. I think it's about $5,000 or $6,000 back. We actually received some of it back already, which is really crazy. I wish everybody paid bills that quick. I guess that'd be awesome. But so yes, it worked out very well. So
Thank you, sir. Barb, from our marina, our harbor master.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Chris Stidham, Clerk Treasurer, City Council members. It's my pleasure to be here.
Good evening.
Just to go back and talk about a little bit about Trunk or Treat, we've been doing it every year since the actual inception. We have kind of a cute little setup. We have a full-scale skeleton behind a ship's wheel and this big giant treasure chest that we pass candy out of. We passed out 4,500 pieces of candy this year.
Oh, Lord.
And everybody just the kids had a great time. It's really a nice event for the city, and I really enjoy participating in it. But now onto the marina. The docks are winterized, the winter is shut off. We have no boats left in the water. The last one left today and it headed towards Al at Doynes. We did receive our reimbursement for the grant that we got for the new pump outs at the marina, the Clean Vessel Act. Our share was 25%. We paid $2,930. Our reimbursement check was for $8,790. We are still pursuing a grant for a fish cleaning station at the marina. The location will be at the southeast corner of the gravel lot by the lift station. We're working with the DNR in Indianapolis, and I received an email November 8th from the person in charge. His division received a new person in charge, and they are restructuring personnel. Once they are settled in their positions and know the dollar amount for public access funding, a standalone grant will be written and submitted to go through the process, which will take approximately 3 to 6 months. Once again, it's a 75-25 grant, so that means our share will be 25%. Between myself and Abin Marsh and the Port Authority, we will contact the DNR in a month for the DNR request. Their restructuring in Indianapolis should be completed by then. At least we hope for that to happen. For the marina revenue for 2020, we've already sent out all of our invoices for 2020, and we are taking payments for the 2020 season. That's about all I have from the marina, but I'd like to share with everybody today a letter, not in a letter, but an email that I received from one of our slip holders. I received this today at 4:52. I was still at the marina working. Barb, I hope this email finds you warm, smiley face. I wanted to let you know that we have decided to not return for the 2020 season. We are very thankful for the friends and people that we have met at the Portage Marina. Living in Portage, it was very close to home and was very convenient. If I may, I would like to tell you the main reason for us leaving. It's the continuous spills and the environment that is allowed by past and current city, state, and federal government officials. I know that you are fully aware of the issues that continue to happen, and it is uncalled for. As you know, we moved the boat from St. Joe, and the wear and tear on the boat is amazing in comparison from up there. Knowing everything I have learned this year, not only from the spills, but also the allowable amounts of dangerous chemicals being put in the water and air, it would be irresponsible on my part as a parent to allow my kids and grandkids to swim in the water at the beaches. We love the water, but we need to move to a cleaner area. Thankfully, and hopefully, we will see you down the road sometime soon. My response to him was, "Hi, I am so sorry to see you leave, and I fully understand the reasons. I feel as you do about the environmental concerns. I will miss you and your family very much, and I thank you for being at the marina in 2019. Best wishes to you and your family. With kind regards, Barb Lesko." And I did let him know, P.S. I am attending a Portage City Council meeting tonight, and I would like to read your email to bring further attention to the issue and concern. I won't mention your name, but I think this should be brought up. It's important. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions from anybody? No questions?
Thank you, Barb.
Colin? All right, well, let's get on with it here. Introduction of ordinances, first reading.
Mobile home park. Liz, would you take that, please?
Sure. An ordinance of the City of Portage, Indiana, amending Chapter 18, Division 3 of the Municipal Code. Be it, and it is hereby ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana, as follows. Section 1, Ordinance Amendment. Chapter 18, Division 3 of the City of Portage Municipal Code shall be amended by deleting the provision of Section 18-57B and subparagraph 6 of Section 18-62A concerning mobile home park operator licenses. Conflicting ordinances. Any ordinances or provisions of any ordinance of the City of Portage or of the Municipal Code of the City of Portage in conflict with this provision of this ordinance is hereby repealed. Make a motion to, let the record show it was this ordinance was read in its entirety, and make a motion to suspend.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to suspend.
Can we get clarification
Yeah,
from this?
can we get,
Greg,
Greg, can,
who prepared this?
Sweeney did, Doug's, go ahead, Greg.
Yes, so this came from Doug Sweeney. He requested the ordinance. He identified that the provisions of our code, which provided for mobile home operator licenses, conflicted with state law, and so asked that these two sections be removed from.
Okay.
any more questions? Please call a roll.
Councilperson Modesto?
Yes.
Councilperson Clem?
Yes.
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Feckety?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
Councilperson Prisco?
Yes.
Councilperson Lynch?
Yes.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt. Please call a roll.
Councilperson Clem?
Yes.
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Feckety?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
Councilperson Prisco?
Yes.
Councilperson Lynch?
Yes.
Councilperson Modesto?
Yes.
2020 elected officials' salaries.
Scott, would you take that, please?
Yes. Is that me? Scott?
I'm gonna, since he's the chairman of the,
That's fine.
Okay. Ordinance number 19 dash. An ordinance establishing the amount of salaries of elected city officials of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, for the year 2020. Be it, and it hereby is ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, as follows. Section 1, Ordinance 18-19 is hereby repealed in its entirety. Section 2, that from the first pay date in January of 2020 through the last pay date in December of 2020, the salary and pay schedule for the elected officers of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, be fixed as follows. Mayor, Annual maximum, $83,466.23, and the biweekly pay will be set at a maximum of $3,210.23. Clerk Treasurer, annual maximum, $78,178.65, for a biweekly pay maximum of $3,006.87. Common Council members, annual maximum, $17,142.86, for a biweekly maximum pay of $659.34. Let the record reflect that this ordinance has been read in its entirety.
Motion to suspend.
Motion to adopt.
Well, it's first reading.
For first reading, I'm sorry.
We have a motion and a second to suspend. Any questions, concerns, comments? Please call the roll.
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Councilperson Feckity?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
Councilperson Prisco?
Yes.
Councilperson Lynch?
Yes.
Councilperson Modesto?
Yes.
Councilperson Clem?
Yes.
Motion to
approve.
adopt.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second to adopt. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilperson Feckity?
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli?
Yes.
Councilperson Prisco?
Yes.
Councilperson Lynch?
Yes.
Councilperson Modesto?
Yes.
Councilperson Clem?
Yes.
Councilperson Williams?
Yes.
Truck weights.
Pat, would you take that, please?
Yes. Ordinance number 19, an ordinance of the City of Portage, Indiana, amending Chapter 78. Article 9 of the Municipal Code entitled Gross Weight Restrictions. It hereby it's ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Indiana as follows. Ordinance Amendment, Section 78, Article 9 of the City of Portage Municipal Code shall amend its deleting in existence provisions of Section 78-261 and replacing it as follows. Let the record reflect that it's been read in its entirety. Motion to suspend.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Greg, can you give us just a little insight for the folks in the crowd and on the internet?
So, you've had this ordinance before you in various forms a few times now. Prior to the special meeting, so the previous version of this ordinance had a provision for issuance of stickers to trucks who were going to make deliveries and pickups of merchandise to the downtown businesses. And it came to my attention that there were two statutory provisions, one in Title IX and actually in the last couple of years in addition to the home rule statute, but a separate section of the statute, which prohibits a municipality from requiring commercial vehicles to display a sticker on them that's not a federally approved or required sticker. So this ordinance just removed all the requirements for the stickers, still prohibits the truck from being on the local roads in the city except for Willow Creek Road south of Route 20 and Central Avenue for the purpose of making pickup and delivery of goods to the business.
So then, can I?
Sure.
We have the B in there, so the B is gone too, right?
Correct.
Because
Well, there's no, so were there any Bs collected?
Yes, we had
So
it.
we have to return those Bs?
And then, Greg, so enforceability, this still, what's the fine for violating this ordinance? Do we know?
the fine is listed somewhere. It's in the rest of that section 78, so it would be whatever that fine is.
I think it's $50 up to $500.
And that may be right, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Does it make sense to amend Central Avenue to just between like Poplar and Airport?
Because the rest of Central is really a neighborhood type street.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I mean, I guess we still have businesses beyond that. I mean, one that comes to mind is Dairy Dip. I mean, they have deliveries made. They would be violating this ordinance if we
Right.
limit Central.
Right.
On the liquor store.
I mean, we have businesses all over the city that are on neighborhood streets that have deliveries, so it's kind of hard to just limit it to Willow Creek and Central and then find someone for having a delivery.
Right. Well, then the other one that comes to mind that should be added as an exception would be like Veterans Avenue, right? The one in front of Walmart.
Yeah, I mean, if you're having furniture delivered to your house, it would violate this ordinance, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
If it weighs 24,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Got 10 pianos.
Well, some of those moving trucks are pretty big.
Yeah.
The interstate moving trucks.
I mean, it's and/or 45 feet in length. It's
You ever
not
tried to
just
pick up a
24,000 pounds. It's and/or 25 or 45 feet in length.
This was the language, so this is the same, this language is the same language that came out of the
Yep.
traffic commission recommendation. So the only thing that got pulled was the requirement of the state.
And the fee, right? The fee?
Correct, yes.
So you're not gonna charge a fee at all for
Correct.
registering them?
Correct. Can't. Explain why.
Against code, against the law.
Prohibited.
We had a motion and a second to suspend. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Zilli.
No.
Councilperson Prisco.
Yes.
Councilperson Lynch.
No.
Councilperson Modesto.
No.
Councilperson Clem.
Yes.
Councilperson Williams.
Yes.
Councilperson Feckney.
Yes.
Before the December meeting, can this go to the ordinance committee? Chris brought up a good point about looking at local streets and how we can add in exceptions for local streets for deliveries. I mean, we do have businesses that are not on Willow Creek and Central that would be affected by this. So I think it's hard to just limit it to Willow Creek and Central Avenue. I think we need to look at this further. I'd like the ordinance committee to meet on this before the December meeting, when this comes up again for a second reading. This just seems too vague, yeah. I mean, I can see how someone would get a ticket for something that they shouldn't. I mean, if it's a delivery, it's a delivery. It's very hard to just limit it to Willow Creek and Central Avenue.
If they're making a delivery to Portage and they get pulled over, they have documentation saying they're going to Portage are legal.
No.
The truck's cutting through.
That's not what this ordinance says. This ordinance says on any city street south of US Highway 20 except Willow Creek Road or Central Avenue. So if you're not on those two roads, it would, I mean, this would apply, so.
Yeah. I catch that now.
Who's ordinance chairman?
I,
Mark,
on-
do
I know
you
I'm
think you'll
on
be
it.
able to meet before the December meeting?
I don't know, it'd be very tough, but I'll try with the holidays coming up.
Yeah, I know,
But I'll work
yeah.
with yourself. Why don't you send me some of your thoughts and
Okay.
whoever else. Chris, I'll get with you also, then I'll get with Ken, and then I'll forward something to the council.
I know I'm on
I
the
think we can
ordinance
work out
committee,
something.
and who else is on there?
I think Pat is, Pat Clem, and I think Bill is. Bill's also on that committee, I believe so.
I mean, even if the committee's not able to meet, just if
I think I'll
we
be
can
able to
send
work
some
out something.
suggestions and then we can
I
get
a
this
hold
for
of
the
Ken and
December
we'll get
meeting.
something set, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that accept. Yeah. That's a nasty word. Accept Willow Creek.
You know, it's already been passed, so you guys are just gonna have to amend it. It passed
Well, I
four-
think
4-3.
it was vetoed. Well,
Oh,
that, but,
okay, okay.
yeah, and then the original isn't in effect either, right? Yeah, it was vetoed.
Right.
All righty, second reading, 2020 employee salaries.
Mark, would you take that, please?
So before you read, there's two versions of the ordinance out there, and they are different. Colin, you uploaded one, like at 4:30, and I was looking through it, and it is different than the one Ken asked to be uploaded at like 3. So I just want to let you guys know, you guys can figure out which is the right one. So
Which one is
Colin
it?
is marked 2020 salary ordinance 9-12-19. Ken's is marked,
Do you have-
it's like
do you have a
doc
paper copy of that? Do you have a
Z47.
paper copy? Or which one is it?
I have a paper copy of something.
Is Collins,
Yeah, I
and
don't
then
know.
yours is
Right.
marked doc
One.
0, what's the number?
047.
Doc 047.
So what's the difference
So
between the two?
the ones I had noticed, just in my quick review while we're sitting here, is the utility chief clerk was omitted on the ordinance 9-12-19. The economic development director and the redevelopment administrator had incorrect salaries. I think what you were doing, Colin, was including a portion of their salary, but the other portion wasn't on the ordinance anywhere, and so it would have limited, I think, their pay.
All right,
A split, yeah.
So I received my information from Budget Committee Chair.
yes. Yes, you did.
The numbers that were amended at
At our last meeting, council meeting, right.
Last council meeting.
I think Colin's goal was to just have it in a prettier, a nicer looking format, and I think you guys can do that one, if you would, whichever one you adopt, if you want to just change the format, that can be done afterwards.
Yeah.
All right, in lieu of this conversation,
Just hold
I'm going to make a motion that we table the 2020 employee salaries till next month, give the Budget Committee a chance to look at it, these two versions in its entirety, and to come back with a recommendation in our December meeting.
I'll second that.
We have a
I don't
motion and a
even
second
have,
to
I don't
table.
even have that one.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Prisco.
Yes.
Councilperson Lynch.
Yes.
Councilperson Modesto.
Yes.
Councilperson Clem.
Yes.
Councilperson Williams.
Yes.
Councilperson Feckity.
Yes.
Councilperson Zill.
Yes.
Introduction of resolutions, various transfers, number 5.
Yeah. Colin, will you read that, please?
Sure. Maybe. Mine's not loading now.
I'm trying to bring it up, too.
I've got it. Resolution 19-, whereas certain extraordinary emergencies have developed since the adoption of the existing 2019 annual budget, so that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the 2019 annual budget. Now therefore, to meet such extraordinary emergencies, Section 1, be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Portage, Porter County, Indiana, that for the expenses of said municipal corporation, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated and ordered set apart out of the several funds or fund herein named, and for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing same. So from Corporation General Fund, from Clerk Treasurer Utility Billing Software, it's $30,000. Clerk Treasurer Equipment, $3,946.68. Council Equipment, $10,000. Fire Equipment, $10,000. Mayor Subscription Dues Miscellaneous, $500. Sanitation Office Supplies, $32,000. Sanitation Landfill, $43,000. From MVH Fund, MVH Equipment, $1,678.70. LR&S Road Materials, $289,748. PNR, NR, CAP Equipment, $8,364. CCD Police Lease, $1,000. CBCI Paving, $3,857. Edit MVH Gas, $75,000. Edit Equipment, $88.72 Major Moves Road Materials, $4,896. Section 2, whereas it is shown that certain existing appropriations now have unobligated balances which will not be needed for the purposes for which appropriated, is further ordained that the following existing appropriations be reduced in the following amount. Let the record reflect this has been read in full.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
So Chris, this is this what we've, I know I texted you about one of these earlier. I don't think this is what the one I asked you about. Can you explain what this one is for?
Sure. Yeah, okay, there we go. Wasn't pulling up for me, sorry. So we're gonna, you'll notice you have two more under notice to taxpayers that we'll be doing. So this is the first in a three-step process to kind of get our budget for 2019 closed out as best we can, so that we try not to end the year with any budget items that are in the negative. So these are intra-department transfers from major categories, for instance, 2s to 3s you hear about all the time, like supplies to services or services to equipment, to shore up any current negatives or anticipated negatives, which would be, for instance, local road and street, we're shifting money to road materials, which is for salt.
And it's coming
that's
from
anticipated, and coming from
paving.
Paving. So there's various other, so these are relatively small, just to get things balanced out.
And they're all intra-department.
They're all intra-department. Your other two are, that you'll be doing under notice of taxpayers, which you'll actually be doing at your December meeting, are additional appropriations, which is spending down cash on hand or adding to the budget, and then inter-department transfers. Those require public notice and a public hearing when you move money from one department to another department. And again, it's to try to balance out everything. One, I guess I'll comment now. One of the goals, as part of our budget committee meetings, was trying to make sure with the new council members, new administration coming in, that they on day one they kind of weren't left trying to scramble and make adjustments to the 2020 budget, or give them some time to kind of get in there, get an understanding before they had to make some tough decisions. This is based on, I think, Councilperson Williams had mentioned many meetings with Carl Cinder and others on forecasting into 2020 the city's cash position and making sure that there was sufficient cash to fund our 2020 budget and to fund day-to-day operations of the city. Based on some initial calculations, there was concern by Cinder and Company, myself, and maybe others, the committee, of whether or not the city would make it through 2020 on a monthly basis from a literal cash in the bank standpoint, to be able to operate on a day-to-day basis. So that's when Councilperson Williams mentioned borrowing earlier, that was where that was coming from. So there for a while there was some consideration on, did the city need to borrow on a urgent basis to make sure that there was sufficient dollars on hand to operate month to month. And if you think about the city's finances, it's a little different than like your household finances. The city, even though we operate on a January 1 to January or December 31st budget year, our real budget year is July 1st to June 30th, because it's tied to the property tax cycle. So we get our property tax draws in, you pay them in May and November, we get the money in June and December. That makes May and November our cash poor months. So that's the bulk of our income or revenue as the city is property taxes. So we have, but we have operating expenses every day. We have payroll every 2 weeks. We have health insurance costs monthly, et cetera. And we can't wait for 6 months to go by before we pay those things. So we have to forecast our cash position to make sure that we have sufficient cash to get through. So at any rate, during all of that, there was some concern that perhaps in as early as March, April of 2020, the cash would dip in an insufficient manner. So there was an exploration of borrowing, and in fact the intent was to come tonight and begin that process of borrowing. We worked to, again, fine-tune our forecast with Carl Cinder, myself, Colin, the budget committee, and determined that we think there will be sufficient cash to get through at least that first dip, that first March, April, May kind of cash negative, or cash stress. It will require, and we don't have a final answer from this, it'll require increased borrowing from the bond bank. So as you know, we borrow each year from the Indiana Bond Bank, and I apologize to the public, this is maybe somewhat a little dry, but I think it's good information to have just so everyone the new council members, the existing council members know what's going on. Every year we borrow from the Indiana Bond Bank on an intra-year basis just to help level out those revenue, to help get us through the January, February, Marches of the year and the October, November of the year. So and it's money that we borrow in January and gets paid back every December. So we'll pay back next month the money we borrowed this year. This year we borrowed about $4 or $5 million total. Next year we're going to be asking the bond bank for $11.1 million, which would reflect the maximum we could possibly borrow. There's some concern, so we've sent them our financials. There's concern that they may not lend us the full amount because a few of our property tax-based funds are operating cash negative, meaning they're operating on, in the hole. And there's concern that the bond bank won't allow us to borrow for any amounts that are negative. We need the full bond bank borrowing, $11.1 million, to make sure that our cash is sufficient to get through the year and avoid what Scott was talking about, which would be longer-term debt to the city, because then it's kind of like living off a credit card or a payday loan. It just kind of creates a bad scenario. So, so that's what will be coming to you at the December council meeting is our bond bank borrowing ordinance. We will get the final amounts any day now. I'm working with bond bank. Carl is working with me on cash flows to get that. So we've asked for 11.1 million, which is the max. That's pretty much what we need. It will create some stress for the city. So part of that is because we're asking for so much, the bond bank asks for a mid-year repayment as opposed to wait until December to pay it all back. A chunk of it, almost half of it, has to get repaid in June. So there will be some stress to get through the second half of the year, but I think this at least buys the new administration, the new council time to kind of get in there, get some understanding, and then make any adjustments to the budget as they see fit. Lastly, and then I'll accept any questions if there are any, I did talk to the DLGF today. When the budget committee had met to adopt the budget and send it on to the council, there was some discussion from Carl about the possibility of the state cutting our 2020 budget because of insufficient cash next year to fund it, and that's primarily based on this year ending so far in the hole. I did talk to DLGF today, and their number is going to be just under $2 million. They're going to reduce our 2020 budget. So right now they're going to put the bulk of that cut in the general fund. I talked to the DLGF. We moved some things around to kind of cushion that. The bulk of it's going to go into the general fund, about 1.8 million, I think is what he said. We will have, and I've alerted the mayor-elect and the budget chairperson. There will be some time, a window of time for you guys to make some allocations. So if you want to move some of those cuts to some of the other funds, you guys can do that, but there's a short window of time. So I just wanted to give them the heads up that would be coming. And then Carl and myself will get notice of the 1780, or we'll get notice of our budget cut from the state when it's official. And then Carl can work with Scott and the mayor-elect on allocating those cuts.
Probably 2 weeks once we get that notice to make the final recommendations.
When do you expect that notice?
If Kurt was if the DLGF was working on it today, I think it'll be any day.
Could be by Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Carl, I actually have a few questions for you. Let's assume worst case scenario. Bond bank doesn't give us what we ask for. We run out of cash March, April. How quickly can we borrow money?
We could do within 60 to 90 days. We needed to, maybe even quicker.
So, worst case scenario, we should be making this decision February 1st. If
Possibly,
we're gonna need to borrow money,
yeah.
February 1st is probably our last.
We also have looked too that we have other funds of the city that we could possibly do some temporary borrowing, possibly maybe a little bit from redevelopment and a little bit from the utilities that would also help supplement. So some of this is money that's earmarked for other purposes, but we could do some temporary borrowing in anticipation if the bond bank wouldn't fully fund what we need.
And Carl reminds me, sorry, one other thing that we had talked about in the budget committee, as a recommendation for the utility and the council. The group next year would be to move up some of the payments from the utility to the city. Right now it's done it matches our property tax schedule, so the utility reimburses the city for different things in June and December. The recommendation is for that to move up to monthly. They make those payments every month, again, to help the cash situation. And so that's one of the measures that we're recommending.
I think once we get notice from the bond bank, and we find out what our final
budget notices, we can start to plan a little bit what our cash flow is, so that come January, we don't have to make quite those decisions yet, but, you know, probably by March, we'll need to really look to see how are we doing cash flow wise for the first 6 months.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Chris.
Hard work, Carl.
So we're at the various transfers, number 5.
I have a question, though, on that. That clerk treasurer there, Mr. Stidham, that utility billing software. Shouldn't utilities pay for that?
They do. They reimburse.
They are going to reimburse that $30,000.
They reimburse $585,000.
Okay.
To the city. Yeah.
All right.
This was just moving it within our budget, you know, money from within the budget. But it is reimbursed, yes, 100. So they pay, just good knowledge, they reimburse for the utility clerks, their costs, their salary, their insurance, taxes, things like that, and then they reimburse for like the billing software, postage, mailing, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
Yep.
That's what I was just wanting to make sure.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Do we have a motion to adopt?
Yes. We do. We have a motion from Councilperson Prisco, seconded by Councilperson Modesto.
Please call the roll.
Councilperson Lynch.
Yes.
Councilperson Modesto.
Yes.
Councilperson Clem.
Yes.
Councilperson Williams.
Yes.
Councilperson Feckety.
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli.
Yes.
Councilperson Prisco.
Yes.
Unfinished business. New business.
We have one item under new business, Mr. Mayor. With some folks leaving the council, I'm making a motion that we gift the laptops that they're currently using to the mayor's office, the clerk treasurer, and the council members that will be departing. We have sufficient funds to provide new laptops for the new council members that will be joining us.
Are you making a motion?
Is that a motion?
That was a motion.
I'll second that motion.
I just have a quick clarifying question. Do we do that, or does the Board of Works need to do that?
So do we make a recommendation?
Can we make a recommendation to
the
them?
Board of Works?
All right, I'll change my motion that we make a recommendation to the Board of Works that we gift the laptops to the mayor, the clerk treasurer, and the council members that will be departing.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to recommend that the Board of Works gift equipment issued to those leaving office. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Notice to taxpayers.
Make a motion and notice for the clerk treasurer to put a notice to the taxpayers.
Additional appropriation number 4 and various transfer number 6.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to ask the clerk treasurer to notify the taxpayers. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Modesto.
Yes.
Councilperson Clem.
Yes.
Councilperson Williams.
Yes.
Councilperson Feckety.
Yes.
Councilperson Zilli.
Yes.
Councilperson Prisco.
Yes.
Councilperson Lynch.
Yes.
All righty, receptions of remonstrances, public input, and any other business. You have 2 minutes. Would you like to name and address, please?
Oh, yes. Dave Clark, live on Central Avenue, and I'd like to make your, I don't know who to give it to, but do my part for getting rid of that problem you had.
That's an ambulance bill, I think. That's an ambulance bill payment?
What's that?
Is that an ambulance bill pay?
Yes.
Okay, can you go up
Yep.
speaking to the mic and tell us why you handed the clerk treasurer a check?
Because I've had that sitting around my house for a couple of months.
Okay.
And it took about, probably at least a year for you guys to get it to me, so I didn't think there was any big rush to get it to you. And,
bill?
no, one more thing. And this is gonna sound petty maybe, but I'm gonna say it anyway. If we're paying property taxes and whatever other taxes all year long for the privilege of living in this city, which is a nice city, I don't think we should be billed. We've already paid for the ambulance. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I promised last month I was gonna bring it, and I'm a man of my word. It's a clean sweep by all the good guys. And I would like to declare the Rhino Party of Portage, Indiana, self-destructed due to the lack of leadership from the Three Stooges. And Sue, you led in the sweep, Mayor-elect. I would like to present this to you because you led the sweep.
Now you finally have a broom to clean your house.
Hopefully you'll find a place in your new office for that to represent the 2019 sweep of the city of Portage. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Come on up, Frank.
All right, Frank O'Reilly, 5429 Timothy Avenue. The question I have is about these trucks. I know this ordinance is, huh?
Which trucks are those?
The weight of the trucks are, how about a semi coming down Downby Road? Is that a truck?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What can be done to stop them? And if you put this ordinance in, is this just for delivery trucks? Or is this trucks in general, like construction trucks and everybody else's truck that's coming down the roads?
It's 24,000 pounds and 45 feet.
And what about the bridge that's on Central Avenue that's got a weight limit? That's owned by the county? It's right there by the cemetery.
I know which one you're talking about.
You know, why don't we just go, you know, I think that's 8,000 pound?
Right.
Why wouldn't you just lower it to 8,000 pounds and follow the rules of the county? Because otherwise you're going to get a truck on Central Avenue that can't go nowhere. You're going to get to that bridge and he can't go over. And then what do you do about the state police, like last year, or was it the year before? They took the fan blades down Willow Creek, down Central. That was off their route. They were permitted for that.
Correct. We have to talk to the traffic commission about that.
I mean, what are you going to do with the, you know?
If I could, they met on this ordinance, I believe, 4 different occasions. Brought it to the council on 3 different occasions. Tonight, they brought it and voted it down. They're going to send it to ordinance committee.
We didn't vote it down. We didn't suspend the rules and pass it on first reading. That's not voting it down, Mr. Mayor.
I just think that everything, there's a lot of stuff that's not in there. You know, if it's just delivery trucks, then it's delivery trucks. But what about the guy going to build a house? He's going to have some trucks coming to his house.
He would never go over 24,000 pounds on one truck. First of all, he couldn't turn the truck in the neighborhood. You know that.
You're pretty close on an excavator on a lowboy. To 24,000 pounds. Believe me, I do know.
It doesn't say 24,000 pounds. It says 24,000
gross weight and or 45 feet in length.
Correct.
So a truck that is 45 feet in length and less than 24,000 pounds still has to abide by this ordinance. Correct. Doesn't say and, it says and or.
Truck and trailer or just truck?
Well, it would be truck and trailer, 45 feet.
Because they're all different sizes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why we sent it back to the ordinance committee, because there's some other issues that need to be discussed in regard to this. So we'll see what the ordinance committee does when they come back to us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.